It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the imperium for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day, so that he may never truly die. Yet even in his deathless state, the Emperor continues his eternal vigilance. Mighty battle fleets cross the demon-infested miasma of the warp, the only route between distant stars, their way lit by the Astronomicon, the psychic manifestation of the Emperor's will. Vast armies give battle in his name on uncounted worlds. Greatest amongst his soldiers are the adeptus astartes, the space marines, bioengineered super warriors. Their comrades in arms are legion. The Imperial Guard and countless planetary defense forces, the ever-vigilant Inquisition, and the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, to name only a few. But for all their multitudes, they are barely enough to hold off the ever-present threat from aliens, heretics, mutants, and worse. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim darkness of the far future there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. My brothers, heretics, and Xenos, listen to the tale of the Order of the New Dawn. Chapter: Doubts in the Warp. The shadow blade drifted through the turbulent warp currents, its hull thrumming with the psychic resonance of the astropaths guiding it. Outside, the void shimmered like liquid black fire. Within the vessel, the hum of engines and whispered prayers formed a constant undercurrent. In the training deck, two crusaders sat opposite one another, bolters resting against their knees. Samael, veteran sword brother, eyes hardened by centuries of battle, spoke first, voice low, almost a growl. I don't know, Bader. Sometimes I wonder if we've strayed too far. We fight in the Emperor's name, yet what we do, it is hidden. Secrets, lies. Some might call it betrayal. Bader, younger, eager, face still marked with the hope of purity, looked down at his hands. But we captured the heretic vessel. We struck where the unclean festered. Is that betrayal? I cannot reconcile it. Omar, he makes decisions I cannot always understand. Samael leaned closer, voice carrying the weight of decades. Look at the imperium we've left behind. The High Lords and Inquisition see only control, dogma, and fear. The Emperor, what they preach, is distant, a god to be worshipped, not the man who forged humanity in fire and steel. Omar, he understands what the Emperor intended. The Emperor's vision was not chains and blind faith. It was survival, vigilance, and the defense of mankind. We act in that spirit, unseen but loyal. Bader's eyes narrowed. Unseen, yes, but if the Inquisition learns of us, would they not call us heretics? Samael's gaze hardened, and he tapped his chest where the litanies of battle were etched into his armor. Let them call what they will. The Emperor did not intend men to die blind, nor planets to fall because of bureaucracy and superstition. We protect what is sacred. We hunt the unclean. We shield Aeterna. If we are heretics for doing what must be done, then the fault lies with those who have forgotten the true path. Badr exhaled slowly, a shiver of relief passing through him. I think I understand, brother. We are his vengeance in the void. We do what the Emperor could not do himself. We are the new dawn. Samael nodded, a faint smile breaking the grim expression. Yes, and remember this. The galaxy may not know our names, the Imperium may not welcome our return, but every heretic slain, every demon destroyed, every innocent protected, that is the true vision of the Emperor. Omar Samson leads us there. He carries the weight, and we follow. Above them, the astropath's minds resonated with the warp, warning of currents and disturbances. But in that small chamber, amidst the echoes of centuries, the two brothers found certainty. The Order of the New Dawn was not a betrayal. It was the fulfillment of a vision older than the Imperium itself. Bader stood, placing a hand on Samael's shoulder. Then let us ready ourselves. There are heretics to hunt, and the Emperor's justice to deliver. Samael rose, gripping his bolter, eyes shining with quiet resolve. Indeed, brother. Let the warp test us. Let the universe witness the dawn. And with that, the Shadow Blade continued its relentless course, carrying the Order of the New Dawn deeper into the darkness of the warp, loyal, hidden, and unyielding. Chapter: The Vow of the New Dawn. The control chamber of the Götterdämmerung throbbed with the pulse of the warp. Red warning runes flickered across hololith screens, voxcasters crackled with static, and servoskulls drifted through the air, their mechanical voices muttering fragments of binary cant. The deck reverberated with the distant shriek of the storm outside, the warp itself hammering against the hull of the ship. At the center of it all stood High Marshal Omar Samson, his black cloak trailing over adamantium plating, his hand gripping the pommel of his sheathed blade as though drawing strength from it. Around him, servitors chanted system logs, mechanical hands working the runes of the command station with unthinking obedience. Check the Geller field integrity again, Omar barked. Cross-reference the augurs. We should have broken through the storm by now. Why are we still trapped in this void? All systems nominal, my lord. Droned a servitor with vox grain monotony. Engine output, stable. Warp course alignment, stable. Astropathic resonance, stable. The words brought no relief. The shadows of the chamber seemed heavier, every flicker of light casting stretched silhouettes across the warriors gathered there. The doors parted with a hiss, and Chaplain Adolphus entered, his skull helm catching the glow of the lumen orbs, his crozius clutched like a burning torch of faith. He stepped forward, his voice deep and thunderous. We have checked all systems, my marshal. Nothing fails. The warp rages, but the Götterdämmerung endures. I believe we shall clear this storm soon and find the path back to real space. A murmur of relief swept the chamber, though none dared show weakness. Adolphus inclined his head, his tone pressing forward. Tell us, Marshal, when we emerge, what is our course? Where shall we strike first? All eyes turned to Omar Samson. The Marshal raised his head slowly, his voice resonant, carrying not just command but conviction. We will burn the witch. We will kill the heretic. We will bring salvation to the people in the name of the Emperor and in the light of our new truth. His words hung in the chamber like a war drum. He paced forward, steel boots striking sparks against the deck. We cannot return to Terra. We cannot kneel to the Inquisition. You all know they would see us burned for what we have seen, for what we have become. But neither can we abandon Aeterna to the fate of ashes. We swore a holy vow, for the Emperor, for Terra, and now for Aeterna. 3 vows bound as one, the vow of the new dawn. For a moment, the chamber was silent save for the hum of the ship. Then Captain Siegfried the Fearless stepped forward, his massive form casting a shadow across the hololiths. His voice, though loyal, carried doubt. I will follow you where you go, Marshal. I will throw myself into the abyss for your cause. But I must say it. Are we not betraying the Emperor's will? Are we not breaking from the path of our fathers? The words echoed, harsh, dangerous. Before Siegfried could continue, Castellan Antioch snapped, his voice sharp as a blade. Mind your tongue, Captain. You speak before the Marshal. Do not dare cast such shadows upon his vision. But Omar raised his gauntlet hand, silencing them both. His voice grew quieter, more human, more weary, and yet more powerful. No, Antioch, let him speak. Siegfried is one of our greatest warriors, and his doubt is not shameful. It is truth. Do you think I have not asked myself the same? Night after night in prayer? Do you think I do not wonder if we tread the edge of heresy, if we stray too far from the path? He stepped closer to his brothers, his gaze burning. But tell me, Siegfried, tell me, all of you, did you not see the miracles with your own eyes? Did you not feel the hand that spared us in the warp? The light that shielded Aeterna when all should have been consumed? That was no illusion. That was no lie. We were saved, not by chance, not by the false promises of high lords and inquisitors. We were shown the truth. The Gnostics revealed it. The vision of the new dawn. His voice thundered now, his conviction undeniable. The Emperor is not a god. He never wished to be worshipped. He was a man, a conqueror, a protector, a builder of mankind's destiny. We will honor him not with prayers, but with fire and blade. We will hunt the unclean. We will crush the heretic. We will wage eternal war against the dark. That is no betrayal, brothers. That is salvation. That is the vow of the new dawn. The chamber erupted in a chorus of oaths, voices of warriors rising like a storm. For Terra, for Aeterna, for the new dawn. Adolphus raised his Crozius high, his voice drowning out the clamor. Then let it be so. Our path is lit, our vows renewed. In the storm of the warp or the fire of real space, the Order shall endure. We shall be the Emperor's vengeance, even if none but us understand it. Omar closed his eyes for a brief moment, silently whispering the vow to himself once more. When he opened them, there was no doubt left, only purpose. The shadow blade groaned as it cut through the storm. The new dawn was rising. Chapter: Oaths of Shadow. The shadow blade drifted, silent and resolute, through the turbulent empyrean of the warp. Its stellar screens and memory pads cast shifting lights across faces grim with thought. The command chamber, a cathedral of humming data and flickering hollow displays, felt charged with destiny. At its heart stood the High Command, Grand Marshal Omar Samson, eyes alight with grim purpose. Chaplain Adolphus, Crozius resting firm against his shoulder. Castellan Antioch, gaze steady and unyielding. Captain Siegfried the Fearless, fists clenched at his sides. Ancients Marduk and Iskandar, silent Jansers of centuries' knowledge. Omar's voice sliced through the tension. Omar, we've hunted alone long enough. Now, we turn our blade outward, to feed the fire that fuels us. We must join a Black Templar crusade. Not openly, but within. Our strength can tip the balance, and our creed can remain our own. Chaplain Adolphus inclined his head slowly, favor lighting in his visor. Adolphus, the Emperor's wrath, hidden in shadow, yet unbroken. We offer our might to the Templars, but not our blindness. All present felt the weight of those words. Antioch tapped a hollow chart of current crusades, illuminated by the flicker of warp interference. With practiced calm, he assessed, Antioch, I recommend the Shrine World's Crusades. 4 new crusades launched upon the Great Rift's opening. They lack Primaris reinforcements and are deeply engaged with cultists and demons. Joining them covertly could serve our goals. access, influence, and opportunity. This aligned with current crusades that the Black Templars dispatched numerous fleets during the Shrine World Crusades, following the Great Rift's creation. Siegfried's mouth twisted in conflict. Siegfried: "I'll follow you, Marshal, but is this loyalty or betrayal? Masking ourselves, withholding our truth? Does that not stain our oath?" A hush fell as the question echoed in the chamber. Omar met his gaze with solemn intensity. "Omar, you speak truth, Siegfried. I ask myself every day, have we become traitors in the Emperor's name? Yet, would he not embrace every sparks of loyal steel against chaos? There's no contradiction in serving the Emperor and defending Aedirna by our own path." Adolphus added, voice rich with faith, "Adolphus, we are not traitors. We are the hidden shield, the blade the Imperium cannot wield directly. Our secrets are necessary, our crusade righteous." A quiet acceptance followed, summoning the machine spirit. Hadrian's voice crackled through every speaker, prepared at a distance. "Hadrian, the Götterdämmerung and Shadow Blade are ready. Systems primed. Warp calibrations optimized. Departure point: intersection of the Shrine World's routes. Our recruitment and strike operations can begin within weeks." The vow! Omar lifted his blade, a ribbon of light amid the chamber. "Omar, then it is decided. We join the crusade of the Black Templars, not as allies, but as shadows within their wrath. We swear our threefold oath again, by the Emperor, by Terra, and by Aedirna. In darkness we strike. In faith we endure." Siegfried knelt. Others joined over servo flesh, voices echoing with fervor, all standing together. By the Emperor, for Terra, for Aedirna, for the new dawn. The servitor's word. The vessel hummed with renewed resolve. The warp outside pulsed, ready to carry them forward. The Order was no longer simply survivors. They were the reckoning approaching the galaxy's hidden horizons. Chapter: Ashes of the Shrine World. The Götterdämmerung tore from the warp like a blade from its scabbard, its engines howling like caged beasts. Warp storm fire still licked its hull as the void opened to reveal their destination. The Shrine World of Sanctus Lysandra, aflame and drowning in blasphemy. Demonic incursions split the skies, and across the marble surface where once pilgrims knelt, fires burned in the shapes of unholy sigils. In the command sanctum, Grand Marshal Omar Samson stood before a hololithic projection, his presence austere and immovable. "Brothers," he said, voice a hammer ringing against iron, "here we strike in the Emperor's name, and in defense of our holy truth. We will bleed the foe where the Imperium falters. Yet we must not reveal ourselves fully. We are shadows, a hidden dawn. We aid this world, but we leave no mark save victory." Chaplain Adolphus stepped forward, Crozius glowing with scripture script fire. "Marshal, we risk discovery. The crusade fleets of the Templars are not far. If they sense our divergence, then," Omar cut him off, "we shall remind them that the Emperor's will is not the Inquisition's will. Faith is forged in fire, Adolphus, and none burn with greater fire than we." A silence fell, until Captain Siegfried the Fearless slammed his gauntlet onto the command dais. "Enough words. Let us drown these demons in their own filth. My brothers hunger for battle. Give the order, and we shall carve a path to the shrine's heart." The marshal turned, gaze burning like a blade through shadow. "Very well. Sword brethren, crusaders, prepare for boarding strikes. We descend into fire, and from the ashes, the new dawn shall rise brighter still." The covert campaign. The shadow blade darted like a predator through orbital wreckage, unleashing torpedoes that ripped demonic craft from the void. Servitors sang in Benharik as weapons roared, and then the vessel plunged, breaching through atmosphere, disgorging drop pods and thunderous storm landers. Upon the surface, the Order moved as an avenging storm. Sword Brother's Sirius relic helm gleamed in the front rank, carried into battle as a beacon of martyrdom. Judiciar Nachtwald pronounced sentence upon demon-possessed heretics, his executioner's blade falling with grim finality. Terminator Ancient Marduk advanced like a walking reliquary of iron and wrath, his storm bolter chanting hymns of lead. The world shook with their fury, yet still they cloaked their banners, their heraldry veiled, fighting as unnamed angels of death. To the Astra Militarum regiments entrenched in the shrine's ruins, they seemed a mysterious host sent by the Emperor himself. The whispered recruitment. When the battle reached its crescendo and the demonic host shattered, Omar gathered certain astartes, survivors of a shattered Imperial Fist's successor chapter. "You have seen the truth," Omar said to them, his words like molten iron pouring into unguarded hearts. "You know the Imperium bleeds itself dry, chained by dogma and the petty lords of Terra. The Emperor's dream was never this. If you would honor him, fight with us. Fight for Dawn." Some balked, some cursed, but a handful knelt, the ashes of deliverance, their voices trembling not with fear, drifted like a phantom above the war-torn world. Quietly, its under the smoke of victory, its reactors muffled to a low stronger. Below, the planet burned, continents torn by fire and ash, hive cities toppled into smoking craters, and the skies scoured red by endless bombardment. Vox reports confirmed what auguries already whispered. The heretic Astartes had descended upon this world, and the beleaguered Imperial defenders were being crushed beneath their boots. But amidst the static came a signal, a voice, distorted but unmistakably that of the adeptus Astartes. Salamanders, loyal, but stranded, calling for aid. High Marshal Omar Samson stood in the command sanctum, arms crossed, his eyes fixed upon the pulsing rune of the distress signal. "We cannot reveal ourselves." "Not yet," he growled, voice low as thunder. "The Inquisition's gaze scours the void. If they glimpse what we are finished. Yet to ignore our brothers in arms would be heresy in its own right." Captain Siegfried the Fearless bowed his head in grim reverence. "Then give the word, my lord. I will lead the strike. Let us find these salamanders before the heretic dogs do." So it was decided. A single drop pod was prepared in silence, its hull blackened to scatter augerlocks. Into its steel womb climbed Captain Siegfried in his Terminator plate, his retinue of veterans arrayed in silence at his back. Chaplain Adolphus, his Crozius grasped in iron fists, stood beside him like a dark shadow. The ranks of crusaders followed, their armor scarred but immaculate, bolters clutched like relics of old. And among them, walking with measured, quiet steps, came Apothecary Ibn Sina, the Wise. As the drop pod sealed with a hiss of pressure locks, Adolphus turned his skull-helmed visage toward the apothecary. The roar of engines thrummed around them, but their words cut through, grim and heavy. "You have been silent too long, Ibn Sina," the chaplain intoned. "What weighs upon you, brother? The hour is grave, and still you brood as though burdened by secrets." The apothecary's voice was calm, almost gentle, yet etched with weariness. "Because I am burdened, Adolphus. Before we departed Aeterna, the Marshal gave me a task, a secret task, one that I carry like a chain upon my soul." Adolphus tilted his head, optics glimmering red. "Speak, brother. We are about to descend into hell itself. Better the truth be known." Ibn Sina's hand tightened on the satchel at his hip, where vials of gene seed rested within stasis. "If we find the salamanders, I am to retrieve their gene seed. Whether they live or fall, The Marshal commands it. Our order must endure, even if it means claiming from our cousins what was never meant to be ours. Adolphus was silent for a long moment. Then, with a slow nod, he replied, "A dark necessity, perhaps, but necessity all the same. The Emperor protects, but only those who protect themselves. Carry out your duty, Ibn Sina, and should the time come, I will see that you have the chance." The apothecary lowered his head in grim acknowledgement. "Then may the Emperor forgive us both." The drop pod screamed through the void, fire wreathing its descent, until at last it tore into the blasted surface of the world. The doors blew open with a concussive thud, smoke and ash billowing in. Before them lay the ruins of an imperial manufactorum, its spires shattered, its walls scrawled with blasphemous runes. The air stank of blood and promethium. Heretic guardsmen prowled the wreckage, their lasguns twitching at every shadow, their chants to the dark gods echoing across the hollow streets. Siegfried strode forth first, storm bolter roaring. His retinue followed, each thunderclap of their weapons reducing traitor flesh to pulp and ruin. The Crusaders advanced behind, bolters barking in disciplined volleys, their faith steel and fire incarnate. But it was Adolphus who led the charge in spirit, his voice rising in a sermon of war. "The foe is upon us, brothers. They are unclean, faithless damned. For every heretic slain, the Emperor's light burns brighter. Let your wrath be his judgment, and your bolter his voice." The heretic ranks broke, shattered beneath the fury of the new dawn. And in the wreckage, amid the smoke, a handful of figures emerged. Silent, masked in rebreathers, their greatcoats tattered but their lasguns steady. Death corpse of Krieg. At their head strode a commissar, his cap torn, his face lined with ash and resolve. His bolt pistol tracked the approaching astartes warily. "You fight well for those I do not know," he spat. "Identify yourselves, or be marked as renegades." Adolphus lifted his crozius, its golden head catching the dull glow of fires around them. "We are knights of the Imperium, sworn to the throne. That is all you need know, guardsmen." The commissar fell to his knees. "Forgive me, my lord." He gestured to the ruins behind him. "There, inside the manufactorum, we found survivors. Astartes, green armor, scorched but intact." Siegfried's eyes blazed, the vox grill of his helm growling. "The salamanders." The Crusaders tightened their grips on their bolters. The apothecary's heart pounded beneath his armor, and Chaplain Adolphus whispered a prayer under his breath. Whether to steel his own resolve or to beg forgiveness for what was to come, none could say. Chapter: Through Fire and Labyrinths. Captain Siegfried the Fearless moved like a shadow through the shattered spires of the Hive City, each step measured but resolute. The labyrinth of cathedrals, catwalks, and narrow corridors seemed to twist endlessly, as if the city itself conspired to trap intruders. Smoke choked the air, mingling with the acrid stench of promethium and scorched flesh. "Keep your bolters ready," Siegfried whispered, though only the echoes answered him. His Terminator retinue mirrored his movements with deadly precision. Every corner, every archway promised death. Gunfire erupted in jagged bursts, lasguns and bolt guns ripping through the smoke. The heretics had left traps, twisted barricades, and even demonic glyphs etched into the walls to slow their advance. Siegfried struck swiftly, storm bolter hammering in sync with the heartbeats of his brothers. Yet, as they pressed forward, room after room yielded nothing. No heretic squads remained, only ruins and scorched husks. The corridors ended abruptly at the source of the distress beacon. The chamber was silent except for the faint hum of Vox equipment still operating, long abandoned. Siegfried lowered his storm bolter, breathing heavily beneath his helm. "The heretics gone. Perhaps they fled," he muttered. A flicker of relief passed over the Terminators, tempered only by the knowledge that the battle was far from over. Meanwhile, Chaplain Adolphus moved through the broken streets toward the chapel where the salamanders had made their stand. Vox reports indicated heavy resistance. Astartes were engaged in close combat with heretic forces, but survival hung by a thread. Adolphus' eyes narrowed behind his skull helm as he spotted movement through the ash. Lord Commissar von Valkenburg, flanked by Krieg guardsmen, attempting to organize a last-ditch defense. Adolphus raised his Crozius high, his voice carrying over the roar of bolter fire and the crackle of energy weapons. "Brothers, today we stand not merely for a world, not merely for the Emperor. We fight for the very truth that binds us, for the order of the new dawn, for the dawn itself. Let your bolters roar. Let your fury burn brighter than this city's pyres. Every heretic felled is a step closer to salvation." The Crusaders, inspired, let out a unified scream of "for the dawn," and surged forward, bolters firing in disciplined volleys. Flames licked the chapel walls as they approached, the hiss of incendiary rounds and the sizzle of promethium filling the air. From within, the salamanders could be seen, armored in green, bolters and flammers blazing, power weapons cleaving through heretic ranks, holding the line against overwhelming numbers. Adolphus led the charge personally, his litanies of war ringing across the battlefield. "By the Emperor's light, by the dawn, purge the unclean, strike the heretic." The Crusaders followed, screaming their own battle cries. Each step forward brought them into the crucible, where lost fire met bolter fire, and Chain's words met corrupted armor. Heretic guardsmen fell in waves, yet the Crusaders pressed on, unwavering. From the shadows, Adolphus caught sight of the salamanders using flammers to sweep corridors clear. Their advance slowed but inexorably holding. He raised his Crozius and bellowed once more, "Brothers, to them, we join with the loyal. We fight as one, and we will not falter." Through a hail of fire, screaming heretics, and the choking smoke, the Order of the New Dawn carved a path toward the salamanders. Side by side, Crusaders and loyalist Astartes met at the chapel's threshold, joining their strength in a grim alliance, the dawn's fury illuminating the darkness. Chapter: Blood and Ashes. Captain Siegfried emerged into the ruined halls, his Terminator armor scarred by fire and bolter blasts. The corridors were slick with the blood of the fallen, yet not a single Astartes bore the mark of defeat. Over the mound of heretic corpses, the banner of Marduk waved proudly, catching the flickering light of burning spires. "We've cleared the halls," Siegfried bellowed, voice echoing through the cathedral-like corridors. "There is nothing left of these heretics. Push onward. Forward, men. Only in death does duty end for the Emperor." The Crusaders surged after him, bolters spitting fire, Chain's words tearing through corrupted armor. Heretic remnants scrambled to resist, but the disciplined fury of Siegfried's veterans tore through their lines with surgical precision. Blood and flame marked their passage. Every corner, every archway became a crucible of vengeance. Meanwhile, in the chapel, Chaplain Adolphus had finally discerned the truth. Amid the rubble and smoke, armored figures in the familiar green of the salamanders moved with deadly grace. These were not fallen warriors. They had stayed behind, guarding the relics, defending the innocent, and awaiting reinforcements. Civilians huddled behind makeshift barricades, watching in awe and fear. "Brothers," Adolphus intoned, his Crozius raised high, "the salamanders live, and they fight for the Emperor. Steel your hearts, for today we strike as one." Outside, the Krieg infantry, long battered and weary, emerged from their trenches, their bayonets glinting in the smoke-choked sunlight. A roar went up from the Crusaders as the Allied forces surged forward, bolters, flammers, and lost guns raining death upon the heretics. The salamanders launched themselves into the fray with renewed fury. Flammers hissed, power swords arced in lethal sweeps, and bolters tore through the last pockets of resistance. Adolphus led the charge, shouting litanies and prayers. For the fallen, for the emperor, for the dawn. Within hours, the field was littered with heretic corpses. Hundreds had fallen to the combined might of the new dawn and the loyal salamanders. Despite the relentless carnage, none of the Templars had died. Yet the cost was tangible. 3 salamanders and a handful of Krieg soldiers had given their lives to hold the line, their bodies strewn among the rubble as grim reminders of the price of victory. In the chapel, Ibn Sina pulled Adolphus aside, voice low but urgent. "Chaplain, the mission remains. The relics are secure, the heretics vanquished, but our task is not yet complete. The secret our marshal entrusted us, the purpose we were given, it must be enacted." Adolphus' optics glimmered red beneath his skull helm. "You mean?" "Yes," Ibn Sina replied. "We descend into the catacombs. Alone. No one may follow. No one can know. The fate of this planet, and perhaps the dawn itself, rests on this act." Adolphus nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of their duty. "Then let it be done. We hold the chapel, we protect the living, and we honor the fallen. The rest is for you and me." With that, the 2 astartes vanished into the shadows of the catacombs, leaving the surviving Crusaders, the salamanders, and the Krieg infantry to maintain the hard-won sanctuary. The chapel became a bastion of hope amid the ruins, a symbol of the new dawn rising, even as darker tasks awaited below.